Finals feel like
whatever it takes to win.
And we're down to the last two for the NBA title. Siakam has done it all tonight for Toronto.
What a night for this young man.
Pascal Siakam with a 32-point game in his first appearance in the NBA Finals.
So Pascal Siakam was ridiculously good and ridiculously efficient last night, which brings us to this question. Before last night, who was the last player to score 30 points and shoot 80% from the floor in a win in the NBA Finals? RJ.
I've got nothing. I got nothing. That is
MJ. When
I figured it was a long
MJ. MJ is right.
Ah!
It's Michael Jordan
of course you
who
got
did
nothing.
it in Game 2
of course you got
of the 91 Finals.
Look,
against the
Himbo.
Lakers.
Good job. Good job, Jay Will.
Himbo.
Good job.
Thank
some
you.
of us play in the NBA Finals and some of us guess right in the NBA Finals.
Or
Good
some
job,
of us
Jay Will.
study.
Good job,
Hey,
Jay
you played in
Will.
the NBA Finals. Congratulations.
Let's not get
the guy you have Bron, or you would never got a chip.
Okay.
Thank
Let's
God.
not
Yes.
get the nasty started.
I'm saying it was factual.
Yeah, if it wasn't for Shane Battier.
If I may, let's jump into our
Still salty about it.
touchscreen here. Again, let's go, Jay Will. I want you to go to the touchscreen here. I want you to do absolutely anything you would like. What are you going to show us?
Well, first off, the brilliance about the way that they recognize shooters. So on the court here, you need to focus on the two guys that can knock down shots, Steph and Clay, okay? But first off, look at the way Pascal Siakam just pointing to Danny Green. Hey, Danny Green, make sure you have him. He's traveling down the court. Now, these are the little plays that when they set you up where they're able to knock down threes. Steph just randomly going through here. Now, this is usually a three-point shot because both these guys are occupied. 1 and 2 are occupied with where Steph is going to go. But look at their attention to detail here. So both up. Both comes up. They both attack him here. Now you're going to see Steph from the slip, but Kawhi Leonard, so good. They did this so many times last night. The guy from the weak side came over and really did a good job of hindering the chance of this guy seeing the rim. And it ends up being a win because the play comes down. That's who you want to shoot the ball. He was 0 of 4 from the three-point line last night, Andre Iguodala. Next play comes up. Once again, in transition, finding guys, marking guys down. Once again, great defense by Pascal right there. Play comes again. These are the little things. Just look at the hustle by Fred VanVleet. Just pushing him to get over the screen, okay? Steph moves so well without the basketball, but Fred is extremely physical, aggressive, stays in the pocket of Steph, forcing them towards the screen. Now, the beautiful thing about the screen is Serge has to get up here in order to contest the shot. Now, Steph is still going to get somewhat of a look, but look at this contest here. I mean, look at that shot that he's taking from Serge, 7'3" wingspan, and you can't even see Fred VanVleet here because he's just breathing on his neck. That's how I feel every time RJ is around me. His breath just makes me feel like I'm going to miss shots. That's where Fred VanVleet is, and by the way, that's where he misses a shot. Those are the little plays that work. Yeah, look at the breath. You can feel the breath on the screen, can't you, with him?
Yeah.
Once again, as the play's coming down, finding shooters again. You see Clay here, but you see Pascal Siakam closing out here, finding him, forcing him to be a driver. Now look how many people here, Greeny. Serge, Pascal, Kawhi, Fred on the weak side. All these guys are just wide open. Standing there, watching. Everybody kind of watches Clay, and these are the possessions where they find a chance to win because only Clay's on the court can create his own dribble. Once again, off the screen, look at the attention to detail. One, sees him, chase, stops him from shooting, rotates over to the weak side. Again, good defense. Shot clock violation.
Yeah, it's good.
Their attention to detail and the way they tag shooters throughout the entire game, that kind of effort they need to sustain.
It sometimes feels like basketball is a sport where casual fans can't always see the greatness of defense. Last night it was easy to see. Last night was like watching the 2000 Ravens play defense. It was a great performance by the Raptors. Meanwhile, another thing that we were looking forward to seeing in this series finally did come to fruition at the end of Game 1. And that is when cameras caught an interesting interaction between Drake and Steph Curry. That happened during the game last night. It looked like Drake took some of Steph's hair. Not 100% clear what was going on, but then afterwards he would explain it on Instagram as Champagne Poppy posted, Steph Curry hair lint for sale on my eBay right now, username Draymond shouldn't wear 23. So he's trolling in a big way. Draymond, meanwhile, was asked what happened between him and Drake at the end of the game. Here was what he said.
Just wanted you to talk a little bit about that post-game scuffle between you and Drake.
You got a question about basketball? It wasn't really a scuffle because I didn't hit him and he didn't hit me, or I didn't push him and he didn't push me. We talked. We barked a little bit, but I wouldn't necessarily consider that a scuffle.
So, yes, we're going to talk about Drake for a minute here. It was not a scuffle.
No,
they exchanged some words, whatever it was, and they have a relationship. I mean, those two guys are friends, generally speaking. But what did you make of that last night and that storyline overall, how it plays out in Game 1?
Look, if Draymond is worried about Drake, that's just adding to the issues of the Warriors. And I don't think the Warriors have a lot of issue. I think they're down 1-0, and it's not, they weren't even favored in that game. But I want to see more fire from Draymond. And again, this is what I'm talking about. I can't believe I'm saying that. He is one of the most, intense players I've ever been around, I've ever seen. And for him to have something to say to Drake at the end of the game, when Pascal Siakam went 14 for 17, I think our priorities are in the wrong place.
Let me just very quickly ask you, you've been on the floor with Draymond Green in finals. Like, what is he generally like out there in these games of this magnitude?
Well, I've been on the floor with both of them. Drake, right there. Drake and Draymond. And when I say the best way to shut up a super fan is to just beat their team down. Drake didn't have nearly as many antics the last few years when they were getting swept in the playoffs. That's the best way to do it.
In the meantime, Jay, you were there. Again, I should remind everyone, Jay Will was at the game last night. Draymond Green did have a triple-double, but he shot 2 for 9. He had six turnovers. What did you make of his performance last night?
I thought it was lackluster. It was funny. His passes just seemed like they were careless with the basketball. And all this talk that we've been saying before in the Portland series about, how the floor opens up when Kevin Durant is on the floor and Draymond Green, now we're seeing him go against a team that has the length and has the size and has the right game plan on how you defend him. Now, he has to make shots. He's going to have to be that third option for them if Kevin Durant doesn't come back. He's going to have to be. He's going to have to be the most consistent guy on the court.
You know what I was thinking of just now as you were talking was Magic Johnson saying on Monday night, the last thing the Warriors wanted was 9 days off. They were in such a rhythm. They were in such a flow. You cannot simulate that in practice. Do you think that the lack of flow we saw in their offense, and you just did a nice job of demonstrating some of the great D, but was there a little bit of rust in what we saw offensively last night?
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of rust, but you also want to give Toronto credit. That defense that those boys are playing, and it was very similar to when we watched them come back against Milwaukee and that defense that they were building a wall against Giannis. The difference here is that they're building a wall against shooters and they're forcing other guys to try and beat you. Normally when you're playing against the Warriors the last few years, there's a Kevin Durant on there, or you have more movement with a little bit better players when they had more depth on the 73-win team. Now you don't have that.
Your usual sparring partner, Seth Greenberg, has been texting me like crazy, singing the praises of Nick Nurse. And while everyone talks about Masai Ujiri, the big move he made to acquire Kawhi, he made that other big move last year. He fired the coach of the year and elevated Nick Nurse. And how much of this comes to coaching when we look at how well prepared they were defensively? All that stuff you just showed us.
I think Nick Nurse has done an incredible job, and I will give them even extra credit. Seeing it in person, Kawhi Leonard was laboring. He was laboring last night. He was hobbling up and down the floor. He had no lift on his jump shot. The fact that they won that game with the other pieces stepping up and their attention to detail defensively talks a lot about coaching.
But again, we're talking about game 1. No, I'm saying I agree with you. But if he's still hobbling come game 3, come game 4, as this series progresses, I'm not expecting that from Siakam or the rest of the
group. That's one of the topics that we're going to get to. If this does become a long series, so much can change. Based upon whether we get KD back, based upon whether Boogie works his way back and plays a lot more minutes, and obviously the health of Kawhi. Coming up, it was a golden opportunity wasted. We'll show you exactly how the Warriors squandered Game 1 and what they need to fix. Sunday